box and try to incentivize them to use like Nourish and Healing Touch more, we got a lot of pushback there. And I think it's cool that some healers, you know, like a priest will chain cast Prayer of Healing or whatever and use Circle of Healing and stuff. And a druid is more about like rolling hots on people. So there's a lot of different play styles that you could choose. Whatever fits you, I guess.
And a quick follow-up. Aside from the gameplay of using your Swiftband intelligently to make sure the efflorescence appears where you want it to, I think some of the healing playstyle that you describe is also on the shoulders of encounters and encounter design. That's something that we try to avoid, right? I mean, in most situations, it's not really just mindless AoE healing. There are some people who are taking more damage than others, who need more urgent healing than others, and so you're using a more diverse set of tools. Yes, in a world where the entire raid is literally taking a flat amount of damage on a regular basis, the right thing to do probably is just Rejuven Wild Growth, but we try not to do that too much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, shake it out. Here we go. All right, you're on.
Hi, I'm Ariel from the Inconspicuous Bear. My question is about the 4-piece Tier 13 Feral bonus, specifically Bear. I know what you're trying to do and prevent cats from being able to get it as well as bears, but the problem is the restriction is, I would say, unfairly impacting on the bear's ability to provide utility to a raid. What are your thoughts on that?
So I would work on designing most of the set bonuses, and the fundamental problem there is if that works for the cat spec druid, they will all be obligated to do that during the fight, and it would become a significant class balance issue. To the point where if we didn't do something like that, we would just have to change the bonus completely. We can't have them being brought for that purpose. They're going to blow this cooldown for the whole raid. So we need to have some kind of safeguard in place to prevent that from becoming a problem. I think it's reasonable that you need to be 15 seconds in bear form before you can use it. And actually, it lasts long enough that you can literally swap to bear form, push the button, and people will start benefiting before because it lasts 20 seconds. I mean, you can actually get it in there. So
that's a fair clarification. Well, I just want to point out a couple things. One, it won't stop cats from doing it. And as for clarification on what you said regarding the bonus, if you pop Frenzied Regen before the 15-second window is over, when the 15-second window is over, it'll start kicking in?
Correct. So like if you pop it after you like 5 seconds in, you'll get part of the benefit of the set bonus.
Okay.
Once the 15 seconds wears off, it'll start working.
All right, fair enough. Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Pyrio from Bone Chewer. Shout out to the Bads. My question is, are we getting new spells at like 86, 88, and 90? And if so, what are the mages?
So one of the things we've talked about, we're adding a lot of new spells just to fill out the talent trees. And at some point, we're going to bury players under so many new spells. We're trying to clean up the rotations. We don't want to add too many new things at the same time. One plan we've talked about is to introduce a new spell just at level 87, because then you turn around and get an exciting talent at level 90. Pretty sure we're not going to be able to come up with like 3 really cool, unique, fun spells that you must have along the way. And I can't tell you, you're asking about Mage. Yeah, we don't know yet what the Mage one would be.
I think a little bit of follow-up on that. In the past, we said we were going to have 5 new abilities or 3 new abilities for each class as they level up. And one of the consequences of that has been a lot of unnecessary abilities, adding unnecessary complexity to the classes. So feeling obligated we have to get X new abilities for every class, even if they don't need it, actually damages the design of the game. And right now we're finding ourselves cleaning up after some of that mess. So I think 1 new ability on the way up is probably the most you're going to see.
Well, and some classes, however, might get more than 1 new ability. It might just be at, level 60 or level 45. But to the extent that there are holes that are needed, that need to be filled in terms of what the class's capabilities are, we're going to fill them. But we're not going to just add new abilities just for the sake of doing so.
All right, good plan. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, I was wondering, can we get some tank glove for a legendary ever?
It's certainly something that we're looking at. Legendaries are one of those things where, like I mentioned earlier, the story and the kit has to fit with what the item is going to be. It's not something where we just say, oh, well, it's time for a tank legendary, or it's time for a caster. We're not thinking about it in those terms. we're very much thinking about it in terms of how it fits into the story, how it really draws you into the game. And tanks have been a long time. Thunder Fury was very, very long ago. And so if there is an opportunity, it's certainly something that we're looking at.
Okay.
I'd love to see an orange shield too. I think that'd be awesome.
There you go. Oh, that's it. I've got to get back in line, but thank you.
Hey, this question is regarding the Arcane Mage Mastery. When it was created, it created the possibility for really deep gameplay regarding managing your resource, where other classes, oh, I have mana, I'm just going to spend it all because I can't get rid of all of it. But we were promised this toolkit to manage our mana, and all we got really was Arcane Blast and clearing your Arcane Blast stacks, because Mana Gem and Evocation just became something that when all your cooldowns came up, you just popped it, dumped all your mana, evocated it full, and then just stood there and did whatever until Evocate came back up. So, are we gonna get anything else to help us not be two-button wonders and make it deeper?
So one thing we've been looking at is we're not really happy with the role of Arcane Barrage right now, in that it doesn't really have a good place. And so we have some plans in mind to add a little bit more complexity to the Arcane design, make Arcane Barrage more meaningful and work better. But all the details are going to be coming out in the near future. But there are some significant plans to change around that. We considered putting it into patch 4.3, but decided it was better to wait to the expansion.
Yeah, it's the same deal with Arcane Missiles. I think it's less than ideal that in many cases you have this proc, you have a spell visual come up on your screen telling you something cool has procced, and the right thing to do is to ignore it most of the time. And you only push it like if you are trying to conserve mana. So we'd like to redesign things such that Arcane Missiles, Arcane Barrage, and Arcane Blast all have an equal and valid role as part of the Arcane rotation, which will add a lot of that complexity and nuance that I think you're looking for.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, this will be real quick. Can you allow Shadow Priests to have their Shadow Form Shroud removed while mounted? And only on the mounts.
Well, we have something slightly better than that. We have a new minor glyph of Shadow Form that is going to reduce the alpha on Shadow Form, so you can actually see your gear. You'll still be dark, but you'll actually see the textures on the items. And that's coming in 4.3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That guy said thanks.
Okay, DK Tier 13, question marks?
I've seen it. It's awesome, and you guys will see it soon.
Okay, so on a follow-up, what about like a 1 through DKs existed kind of a thing? Everybody can go back and get their tier gear, but DKs can only go back so far.
That's a much harder one. It's something that we would like to do, obviously, but it's expensive. Art takes a long time to make. Making it to the standard that you expect, that you see on your gear right now, is something that is really hard to do. And so, going back and going to like the dungeons and such like that, I think that at least should tide you over until you get a bunch of new interesting stuff in 5.0.
Okay. Thank you.
I feel like I should qualify too, because I've gotten beat up before by using the expensive word. For us, it's a matter of budget, and if we ask for certain armor sets, we won't be able to get other armor sets, or else we have to delay a patch or an expansion just to get that. So it's not a matter of we don't like throwing money at problems when that's a good solution to those problems, but we're usually thinking about it in terms of when are we actually going to get this patch or expansion out, and you guys are often really impatient, and understandably so we have to make hard choices sometimes.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I was wondering if you could put strength polearms in the game?
So, strength polearms have been one of those things that haven't had a niche because they don't work very well with Titan's Grip. You can't use them, and so when we're dropping a strength weapon, we want to make sure that all of those strength classes can use it. That said, going forward, now that hunters are sort of falling out. It's something that we can look at on, a case-by-case basis, and if we get a really cool piece of art that we want to make into a Warrior and DK thing, we can do that.
Your panda poster art, he's dueling polearms. So.
Well, the artists can do a lot of things that we can't.
Good answer.
Back in vanilla, you had the Hunter Epic quest line with Rockdalar. I was just wondering if you guys are going to bring that back at all.
So it's something that has actually come up internally. Relatively recently, one of our encounter designers was asking, would it be appropriate to go back and update it? So it's something that is actually something we're thinking about and looking at and considering. We want to make sure that if we do something like that, it actually lives up to the standards that you remember from level 60. And it's not just, we zapped the numbers up and now it's level 85. We want it to truly be up to that level of quality. And so that's why it hasn't yet. We're thinking about it. It might happen, it might not.
It's also worth noting that some of the more recent things that we've done for Dragon Wrath and for the 4-3 Rogue Daggers are very similar in terms of a personal, challenging solo experience. It's a trial that you have to overcome. And it's something that's accessible to players, even if you don't go all the way to the legendary step. Just getting the first step of the way there unlocks a lot of the cool solo gameplay, if that's the overall play style that you're looking for.
Thank you.
Hello. I've noticed that in the past, engineers have gotten to make some pretty cool stuff like wrist rockets and stuff. Well, by today's standards, those items are pretty much worthless pieces of junk. So I was wondering if we'll ever get to make some more powerful versions of those items, or maybe something else that's more fun to use, like, say, freeze ray, or some kind of mount that you can use underwater.
Yes, but one of the difficulties there is engineering devices are often as powerful as class abilities, and so the downside has to be, bad enough to make sure that everybody doesn't switch to engineering, since professions aren't permanent. But we've had a lot of discussions recently, and we are trying to put wackier stuff in, stronger stuff. And it's more going to be about maybe limiting where you can use it, and so we can just say, oh, hey, it's not allowed in PvP or whatever, and so we can go crazy with it. But yeah, we have a pretty cool suite of stuff that we're looking at for engineering this time.
Thank you.
Hi guys, Douglas from Musera. What's up, LMPT? Got a question about hunters. You said you're eliminating the use for the melee weapons. Are we still going to be able to equip them for show for like our legendaries? And also, I have the Sulphurous Hand of Ragnaros and I can't equip it. Any way we can get some mace love?
There aren't any plans for that right now. It seems like a lot of work for something you couldn't equip. That said, the melee equip, we're probably not going to let you do that. So at least right now, we don't have plans to let you equip those things. In the past, we might find a way to make a special exemption for stuff that you were actually intended to have, like Thunder Fury.
If it makes you feel better, the rogues that are walking around with the orange legendary bow won't be able to equip that either.
That does make me feel better.
You got it. Thank you.
We do want to have to change the hunter so that you can see their quiver on their back permanently at all times. And if you have a gun, potentially like an ammo pouch, and then be able to change the art assets on those, to customize them. So it's something we've been talking about.
Hi. Illustrious Grandmaster Engineer Chow, Stone Range 2-time null. First, I got a question about engineering, kind of a follow-up to him. What happened? I mean, you make it so awesome, so exciting for that one patch, then it's kind of like you just forget about it, and every once in a while you put in that one weapon that I can't use because you're like, oh yeah, engineering's a profession also. But like the goggles, for instance, they are the trademark of engineering, and I was so excited to see those because you could use them for almost every class spec, and you had the cogwheels. But there's no upgrade for each tier. So do you plan on changing that or adding upgrades like